If somebody lists land for sale
Uh-huh.
with no survey and they expect the buyer to do the survey, how do you handle that as a land expert?
Well, so
Do you have a special contract for people?
we will get an attorney to draft a modification, and what we will say,
Is this if you're the buyer or the seller?
if I'm representing the buyer,
Okay.
okay, so I'm representing the buyer, and we have, I mean, I'm not going to say that I've never taken a listing without a survey and everything, but sometimes I have some poor people that can't afford the survey, and then we're like, okay, we just have to deal with it. But I always highly recommend the seller do a survey. I have situations where I'm representing a buyer, not my listing, and I tell them, hey, there's no survey on this. They're like, well, what do we need to do? One of the things that I recommend is we make a acreage contingency contract. So we say the purchase price is, let's say it's 25 acres to make even numbers, 10,000 an acre. Purchase price is 250,000 an acre. But then we have an attorney drafted modification that says, but the actual purchase price is going to be 10,000 per acre. And sometimes we say not to exceed 28 acres because, you know, it's possible the survey could come up at like 32 acres and my buyer doesn't have 320,000. Or maybe they have to be in land use and they have to have 20 acres and it comes up at 19 acres. Maybe my client's bottom line is 20,000 an acre, or excuse me, 20 acres, but we're still at 10,000 acres, so it come in at 200,000 instead of 250. Then there's one extra little trick and twist to that. Sometimes we say no less than 20 acres, and if it's more than 25 acres, the price will not exceed 280,000. So, you know, because usually if I'm representing a buyer, he might not have 320,000, but he'd gladly take 32 acres for 280,000. So it's a little trickeration, but it's no one. I mean, land people know a little bit more than residential brokers. It's just, I think that's important that if the buyer's going to take the risk and the buyer's paying for the survey, you need to have some kind of expectation. Because the last thing I'd want is a seller represent that it's 25 acres. My buyer's disappointed that it's 19 acres, and not only are they not getting everything that they want and everything, but they could also get stuck with the price of a survey. So you have to have a little give and take in the negotiations.